Hello everyone, welcome to this session on Introduction to DevOps. Today in this session, we will be going through what is DevOps exactly, and I will be telling you guys if, let's say, you do not know anything about DevOps today, after this session, you will basically understand each and everything with respect to what DevOps is, where exactly it is implemented, and whether this is the right career choice for you or not. Right. So, guys, this would be the agenda of my session. I hope it's clear to you. So, let's move on, guys, and start off with the first topic, which is directly related to DevOps, which is what is software development. Now, before I move on, guys, do you guys have any questions that you would like to ask? You can go ahead and ask it in the question box, and I will be happy to answer. Also, guys, for the people on YouTube, if you have any questions, you can also mention it in the chat box, and I will be looking them up at a logical interval of time. All right. Am I audible to everyone, guys? Can everyone confirm me on the webinar? Am I audible to everyone? Okay, Tony says yes. Others? Mayank says yes. Vamshi says yes. Rakesh says yes. All right, guys. Thank you for your confirmation. Let's go ahead and get started with the first topic, which is what is software development. So, guys, software development is basically the process of transforming customer requirements into a complete software product. Right now, what that means is, let's say I have a set of requirements that are given to me by a customer. That, let's say, this guy is running a music company, and what he wants is that all his students should be able to mark their attendance on a particular app. This is his requirement. He comes to me as a software company and tells me that, you know what, I need an app where my students can basically mark their attendance. So can you go ahead and please tell me, like, how will you go ahead and what kind of features will you add to my app? So this is basically the stage wherein the customer gives the company the requirement. The technical architect of the company will understand this software requirement, and then he will tell the customer that this is the plan, this is what, or this is the kind of app that we are basically going to create for you, right? So this, from here on, whatever process is going to be followed, that is from a piece of paper with a set of requirements are written to a complete software product which is handed over to the customer. This whole process is basically referred to as software development. Now, to understand how basically the software is made, or to understand what this process basically comprises of, there are basically 5 stages in software development. The first stage is requirements. So herein, what you do is you basically gather all the requirements from the customer. Basically, the technical architect gathers all the requirements from the customer, and then basically these requirements are converted into a technical document, which is then forwarded to the developers. So this basically technical requirement, when it is written, it is basically called the design stage. Now, once the design stage is over, right? So once you basically have decided the technical document, the next step that you would be doing is you will be basically going ahead and giving it to your team for implementation, right? So this technical document is now given to the team of developers, and these developers now basically go ahead and they start working on the requirements which basically the technical architect has told. Now, once this happens, the next step is basically the verification stage, wherein what happens is the testing happens for the product, right? The testing of the product starts. Each and every component of the software is tested, and when it is combined, again it is tested, and finally it is released to the customer. Now, once it is released to the customer, the next stage or the next step which happens is basically the maintenance phase. And here in this phase, what happens is that uh, the bugs are reported by the customers, and new feature requests are given by the customers, and those feature requests or those bugs are fixed. So this you can compare usually to either the OS updates that you get on your mobile, or let's say if you're using Windows, you frequently get Windows 10 updates right? So all these updates are basically a part of the maintenance cycle which is happening for the product that you're using. If you're using a mobile device, that the software maintenance phase is happening, and the updates that you get are basically feature requests or bug fixes, which are basically done by the development team and are rolled out to you, right? So in short, this is basically the software development lifecycle, which basically happens. Now, moving forward, about the requirement stage. In the requirement stage, what happens is the requirements are basically taken in, and it is understood by the technical architect, and basically then these requirements are then carry forwarded, and a technical document is created. Once a technical document is created, the next step, what happens is the implementation starts, wherein the developers, they start working on the design which basically the architect has put forward. After that, the tests are basically conducted, and finally the maintenance stage happens. So this is what we just discussed. Now, after this, once this process has been identified, now you will understand, okay, so software development is very easy. All you do is basically you go ahead and you follow this step by step, and the output of this process is a software that you are looking out for, right? But it is not that easy actually, especially when you have to get it done with the team, right? Especially when you have so much different kinds of product requirements from customers. So that's why we have different methodologies or different ways of following this particular process, which is the SDLC, or the software development lifecycle, that we just discussed, right? The first way of following this SDLC is called the waterfall model. The second way of handling this SDLC is called the agile model, and the third way of handling this is called the lean model. Now, what is the difference between these three? Let's go ahead and understand. So talking about the waterfall model, guys, in waterfall model, what happens is this same SDLC is basically treated as a waterfall, as if something is flowing in one direction. Now, one direction over here is the keyword, that whatever happens, it just happens unidirectionally. That means if, let's say, the requirements are taken in, and if the requirements are set once, and once you, let's say, reach the design stage, after you reach the design stage, you can never go back to the requirement stage saying the customer has come back again and he wishes to add one more feature. No, that is not at all possible once you have locked one stage of the software development process. This was called the waterfall model, and this was done because obviously, if you have a customer who is confused in what product he wants, and he's always bugging the developers with respect to the new changes that he wants, it obviously, if there are new changes which are basically told in a particular product or a software, it might be that they have to go back to the whiteboard and design everything again and then start from scratch. So to avoid all those things, when waterfall model was basically decided that this is what we want to follow, right? So basically a flow was decided that once we are done with the stage, we are never looking back, and we are never going to go back to the scratch board and understand that this how the new requirement of the customer can be put in. All right. Similarly, once the design stage is over and the development has started, if the designer thinks that, okay, let me change this particular thing in the design, and I think this will make the software better, even that is not allowed. So once the designer's work is over, there is no going back to the design stage again once the development has started, because that will not only account for delay in delivering the software, but that also means wastage of time, because there are always better things or better ways to do a certain thing. So once you have completely decided, take your time, and once you have completely decided that this is what we want to basically execute, you will only do that, and you will never go back to the previous stage or to the whiteboard to scratch things out. Okay, so that's what the waterfall model is, guys. Now, then came a new method as the customer behavior changed, and that's basically called the agile methodology. So waterfall model worked pretty well for very complex softwares, right? But the problem with waterfall model was that, first of all, obviously the biggest problem was the customer. If, let's say, he comes up with a new requirement that cannot be accommodated once a development work has started. So that was problem number one. Problem number two was that whole life cycle took a lot of time for the software to be delivered, right? So let's say if I am opening an e-learning company like Intellipaat today, right? And if I want an LMS system which has to be designed, and if I approach a company who's basically following a waterfall model, they will probably give me a 6 months time. That in 6 months you will get the software, and then you can see whether you can implement it, and then you can basically understand how it works. But my requirement is I want to start my company today. So what is the fastest way possible that you can basically send that product out to me? So that's the era that we are living in right now, right? So whatever basically work is given to any of the companies these days, whether they be competitors amongst each other as well, the work is always given to a company which can deliver the results faster and in the most quality manner possible. So to do that, there was a new methodology that we had to come up, which was basically agile methodology. And agile basically, as the name suggests, is a lot more flexible in terms of working. So what does the agile methodology says? Agile methodology says that, let's say there are 15 or 20 features that we have to develop in a software. We are not going to design each and every requirement of the software right now. We are only going to design the bare minimum requirements, and then we are going to start off the work. Now, how is this helpful? This is helpful because with the agile development, not only you can give out the software faster. Let's say I, as an e-learning company, I tell my whole product idea to the company who is developing my software. So the company says, okay, you know what? I understand that you need a very beautiful UI, but what I can give you is in the next 1 month, I can give you a UI which is workable, a UI which probably your customers can come on, they can pay you, and they can start learning. Whatever beautification that you have to do in the UI, whatever extra features you need to want to do in the UI, I'll probably do it in the next release. But this is the fastest, and this is the product that I can give you right now in the next 1 month, using which you can not only earn money, but at the same time, if you, let's say tomorrow you want to do any change in the UI, you can tell me after 1 month, and anyways, I'm going to start with the UI release of yours, or the UI part of the beautification part next month on your products, and you can tell me if your requirements change. I can accommodate that, and I can give you out the product, right? So that's what agile methodology was. Not only this accommodated customer requirement change, because let's say if today I need an app which is basically going to be for Android, and you tell me, okay, so this app is going to take around 6 months to create, and tomorrow Apple launches an iPhone which is very affordable, right? So that means that 50% of my customer base, let's say, has now shifted from Android to iOS. So I need my app to be on the iOS platform as well, or I need my app to be on the Apple platform as well, right? So I cannot change my requirements or wait for 6 months and then I'll give my requirements to the company. I want it to be done as soon as possible, right? So if that is the scenario, we obviously need a methodology which can accommodate changes, and this is exactly that methodology that people basically prefer now, not only because the changes can be accommodated, but also at the same time a workable product is delivered very soon. You do not have to wait for a longer time in order to get your product. That's what the agile methodology is. Then comes the lean methodology, guys. Now, as you saw that in waterfall methodology, there was a unidirectional kind of a flow, which was basically followed. In agile methodology, you basically saw that, okay, you could go back and forth with respect to the requirements, because over here, things are a lot more flexible. You basically do small amounts or small parts of the app one at a time, right? Now there was still a problem wherein we thought, okay, so agile methodology is a lot much faster than what waterfall model was, but I think we can still improve the amount of time that we are taking to basically develop the product. And that, for that sole reason, we basically came up with lean methodology, in basically which we basically told that in lean methodology, not only we are going to follow the agile methodology for our work, but we are also going to focus on reducing the waste time that we basically are spending on things which are not required. For example, if you are doing 3 scrums in a day to understand what the progress of the work is, probably you can reduce that to one. You can do a stand-up meeting in the morning, You can discuss what features you will be finishing at the end of the day, and you can do one meeting probably in the end just to tick off topics of what you have completed as to what you had planned in the morning, right? So basically, the lean methodology tells you that follow the agile methodology, but also think about how you can save time. So all the things which can save time, you are basically going to use in your team. For example, you can hire people who are more skilled in what they do rather than people who are new to the work that they are doing. Not only this will increase the quality of the work, but this will also reduce time in research and development which has to go. So if there is a person who already knows how to design an e-learning product versus a guy who has never worked on an e-learning product, it's always a good way out to basically hire that guy who has the e-learning experience and can develop the e-learning app for you, right? So that's what this methodology drives. This methodology drives decisions like these, which will basically help you to reduce the amount of time which is spent out in a project. Okay, so carving out the differences between the three methodologies that we discuss a waterfall methodology in which this star is basically customer feedback. So the customer feedback and the release of the product always used to happen at the end of the life cycle. It always used to happen in the last when the whole software product was developed, right? Versus when you were following the agile methodology, not only you were getting the feedback three times in the same amount of time that you were spending in the waterfall model, but also you were basically delivering the software in one third of the time that you were delivering in waterfall model. Obviously, you were not delivering the full workable product, but you were delivering the bare bones of the product using which the company can actually start earning business. And with the passage of time, you were basically adding upon new features which they could add in their product and which was basically closely resemble what they actually expected, right? And because of this customer feedback which is happening a lot more times now, even the new accommodable changes which had to happen, which probably the customer thought we could do better, right, is also being accommodated. So not only a customer is happy who wanted the software to be developed, but also at the same time that software itself was developed a lot faster. Okay, and in the third model, lean methodology, you followed the exact same things which are there in agile, but the also one thing that you basically focused on was eliminating the extra time that you were probably investing in your project. Could be because of the resources which are already there in the team, or could be because of the multiple meetings that sometimes go unproductive. Okay, so this was the three methodologies which were there in the software development lifecycle, and because of these, there was a requirement for DevOps. How? Let's go ahead and understand. So the problem between customers and the software company which existed when we were following the waterfall model was solved when you were using the agile and lean methodologies, right? Because now the customers were not only getting their software a lot faster, but at the same time they were happy to give changes that which they could not think of when the product actually started building, right? So this particular problem was solved. But why did we need DevOps when this problem was solved? Because this looks like a happy story. Everyone is happy, the customer is happy, the company is happy. So why are we needing a new methodology in place to basically, erupt the whole world and start off learning new things? So that happened because there were still problems within the company which were to be sorted out. For example, if you have ever been a part of a tech team, there are usually clashes between the operations team and the developer team. So the operations team are the guys who basically take a product and deploy it on the production or the testing server, or the operation team also comprises of testers. So these are the people who are always in a, they are always uh, closely associated with developers with respect to the work. So one team is basically the QA team, and the other team is the team which is basically developing the product. Now, obviously, the QAs are the people who find out bugs or who find out mistakes in the product, and that's why the relationship has never been that good. Now, because of this fight or this back and forth which used to happen between the developer team and the operations team, there was a lot of time which was getting wasted, right? And the intent of implementing or introducing methodologies like Agile and Lean was that we basically wanted the customer to be very happy. We wanted the customer to have the best experience possible. But because of these problems within the company, right, between the teams itself, the end result was not that great, and hence we needed a process over here which could solve these problems which were happening between the developers and the operations guys. So what were the different kind of problems that these guys were facing? Let's discuss that. So a developer is a guy who basically develops the product, and like I said, operations team is basically the team which is basically doing, probably going to do the QA of the product, or they're going to deploy the product at the place that the developer team wants, right? Now, what used to happen was the developer used to, create the feature that he was assigned, and he used to tell the operations guy that, you know what, I've created this feature. Can you check it or test it on your system and let me know whether it's working or not, right? So, but when the operations guys, they basically used to run the code on some other system other than the developers, the code did not used to work, and it could be because of many reasons, such as probably the software which this code wants is not installed on the operation team's system, or the software which was earlier used in running the product. A latest version of that software is supposed to be updated in the operation team's system, and because that is not happening properly, there is an error which is happening. It could be because of dependencies which the code has. It could be because of anything, right? But at the end of the day, even if the code is correct and the operations guy is not able to run the code, the operations guy used to send the code back to the developer saying the code is faulty and you should check what is wrong with your code, because this is not running on my system, and if it is not running on my system, I cannot pass it on to the main server or to the production system to make it work, right? Now, because of this, there was a problem between the two teams, because the developer said, I've done my job, I've done with the feature, I'm not going to go ahead and babysit this operations guy's system and understand what exactly the problem is and why it is not working over there. And the operations guy used to say, I'm doing my work, I'm not here to debug what is wrong with your code. You go ahead and fix everything that you want and give to me a product that I can actually run and test, right? And because of these sentiments, there was very much a back and forth between the team. And to solve this, we basically had to come up with a process which is basically called DevOps. Okay, so DevOps is a process which basically solved this particular problem between the developer team and the operations team. And this is what we are going to discuss now. This is the story so far. So by now you should now understand how DevOps is basically associated to the tech world. You should understand what it solves, and you should understand why it was invented. What it is exactly, we are going to discuss in a moment, but if this is clear to everyone, please let me know, and if it is, let's go ahead and move further. Okay, Mayank is saying, what is the price of this course? Mayank, let's hold on to those questions. I think these questions will be answered by the end of the session. But if you have any, questions with respect to whatever we have discussed, please let me know. Any questions? Okay, Tony says perfect so far. Great, Tony. Vamshi says he is good to go. Ramesh says he has a question with respect to DevOps. Please let me know, Ramesh, what your question is. Others, if there's a question, please let me know. Any doubts that you have so far, I will be happy to answer. Mayank is saying, is Agile similar to DevOps? Mayank, we will get into it. If you understood Agile, I think DevOps is something that I'm yet to cover. So you can just wait for a moment and we will be covering it. Okay. Any questions, guys, with respect to whatever I have covered so far? Vamshi says, any pre-requirements needed? Vamshi, for DevOps, none at all. But I would still say let's hold on to these questions. With respect to what I taught just now, do you have any questions? Okay, Manikandan says he is clear. Okay, Ramesh says, if there's a handshake between the developer and the ops team, won't there be a change of request or approval needed? Yes, Ramesh, absolutely. And that is what the DevOps process is all about. Suresh says, I'm good, great. Manish says, is there any alternative for DevOps to be used? Well, Manish, with respect to what the problem DevOps tackles is about, solving the problem between the developer and the operations team. So there might be multiple ways in which DevOps can be implemented, but the solution is DevOps itself. There's no other solution. Tony says, how many members a lean model will have max? Well, Tony, it depends. So usually it has a smaller number of people than what you had in Agile, because the focus over here is on team members who are a lot more skilled and a lot more experienced, who can not only get the work done faster, but also in a uh, lesser size of the team. And that's what the name also suggests, the lean model. B3 says difference between developer and operations guy is clearly. Well, Sri, developer is a guy who codes and who develops the product. Operations guys are a combination of teams which do the testing of the product. The admin team, which is basically once the product is working, once the code is working, this guy is also going to move the code onto the testing team or onto the production server, wherever this code has to be put on so that it becomes available to the world. So this combination of testing and the admin team is basically called the operations team. Okay, Priscilla says good so far, thanks. All right. Vamshi says I'm good, thank you. Ramesh says okay, great. Dhage says, can I get recorded video of the session? Absolutely, Dhage, it will be made available to you. Srinivasa says, is the DevOps used between development team and the maintenance team? Yes, you can say that. So the maintenance team is basically the team which is going to test your code, right? And if that is what you mean by maintenance team, yes, it will be basically between these two teams. Siva says, is code necessary to be a DevOps engineer? No, Siva, not at all. Uh, Rakesh says, what is the DevOps role in testing? Rakesh, that'll be clear in a moment. Narendra says, in DevOps ops team, also should learn coding? No, Narendra. Srinivas says, maintenance team is enhancement and changes of code already in production. Well, the maintenance team then, Srinivas, in that case, would be a part of the development team itself, right? Maintenance team, okay, get a point. So maintenance team is the team which is going to do feature enhancement, etc. So that again comes down to the skill for coding, and that skill is only with the development team. So those are the people who are going to work with it. And once they do that, again, it will be tested out by the operations team, and then it will be pushed on the different servers by the admin team. So which again comes in the operations team. Okay, Rashmi says, I work as a CRM admin since 8 years experience. Will it be helpful for me for upskilling and technology change? Absolutely, Rashmi. But let me take up this question towards the end of the session. Okay, Satvi says, no questions. Rashmi says, I need to do certification. Dhage says, Rashmi, this course will give you a certification, don't worry. Dhage says, do I have to have a knowledge of testing? No, Dhage, not at all. Mohan says, what are the topics covered in DevOps course? Mohan will be covering that. Suresh says, in DevOps, dev is a combination of system analyst, testing, and developer. Not a system analyst, Suresh, and not even the testing guys. Testing guys would be a part of the operations team. It will only be the developer who would be part of the dev team. Priscilla says, when is the testing of the application actually done? Priscilla, it happens in the DevOps lifecycle itself. So I think most of your questions, guys, are going to be answered when we move along. So let me move forward with what is DevOps. So guys, DevOps is basically a methodology which we just discussed is going to solve the problem between the developer team and the operations team. And how it does that is basically using the diagram that you see on the screen. So this is an infinity diagram, which basically says that the first stage that you start out with is plan. So you plan the code, then you basically develop it, then you build it, then you test it, then you release it, then you deploy it, then you operate it, and then you monitor it. Now you will say it resembles the software development lifecycle. What is new over here? Well, the new thing over here are two things. First thing is, the moment the code is reaches the maintenance stage or the monitor stage, it again comes back to planning, coding, building, right? Why? Because once it comes in the maintenance stage, the bugs will be reported, and again, the bugs will now start fixing by reaching the plan stage, wherein the bugs are planned on how to basically be fixed. Then it is again given to the development team in the code stage. Then again, there is the build stage, then there is the test stage. So you will say, okay, so I understand the infinity sign means that once the release or the development of the code is over, again you basically start developing the code by looking at the changes that the customer is saying, and again you start working. So that is understandable. But how is this fixing the problems between the development team and the operations team? This should be a question. And the answer to that is, guys, every stage in this happens automatically. There is no human involvement over here, right? So when you plan the code or when you plan out the software, the architect basically puts this plan out on a software which is automatically distributed among the team members with respect to their work. So whatever features are planned, each feature is assigned to probably a group of 2 or 3 developers, and then they start working on it. When the coding is done, when the feature is done by a developer, he basically puts his code on GitHub or a version control system for that matter, and it automatically, the code gets picked up from there. It starts getting built on automatically, an executable is created automatically, it is deployed on the testing server automatically, it is tested automatically. If the test gives out a problem, it is emailed to the developer, right? And if it goes successful, again the feedback is also given to the developer that the test was successful, and hence the feature goes forward, and automatically it is deployed on the production server as well. So in this, you will now say, okay, so if this is all automatic, does that mean the ops team is not at all there? No. In making this automatic, for example, if a product has to be tested, and if it has to be tested automatically, what you will do is you will need a set of automated test suits. And this automated test suits will be basically created by the testing team, right? And then these will be uploaded as part of the DevOps lifecycle. And as and when new code will be uploaded by the developers, automatically a bunch of DevOps tools are going to pick them up, make them do go through the testing or the automated test cases which the testers have created. And if there is any error which comes in the test cases, those errors are automatically mailed to the developer directly on his email, right? He gets the email that these are the set of things that are giving you an error, and the developer now does not have to interact with anyone, right? If let's say he's working late night and he's committing his code at 3 a.m. in the night, right? And he wants to get the feedback immediately, he will get the feedback immediately. He doesn't have to wait for the tester to log in and give him the feedback. Second of all, since everything is automated, if the developer says that this code will probably run on Python 3 and not on Python 2, if this is mentioned along with the code, this can also be automated that on whatever server this particular code is being tested, the automation server ensures that that particular target system has Python 3 installed instead of Python 2. This is also possible using DevOps tools, and this is basically something which is called as configuration management, right? If let's say the code has been released onto the production server after being successfully tested, all the feedbacks which have to come to the customer, they also come automatically, using probably software tools that you have developed. For example, whenever you encounter an error, let's say in Windows, you always get that option of send error report. What is that send error report? That send error report is basically a method of you telling the developers who are sitting in the company that this is the error that I got on my system and my system crashed. Look at this error and fix it in the future releases. That's what that send error report means. You would have also seen on your mobiles when you basically are setting up an account, send usage related statistic details to the company. What does that mean? That also means that whatever work you're doing on your phone or your system, if there is any error which occurs, that error will directly be sent to the company. And these are all collected as part of a automated monitoring tool, which is then basically made available to the technical architects or the managers, that these are the errors which have been reported worldwide when your product was being used. And these are the things that you have to fix. So this is again planned. This is basically again given to the developers fix it, and again it is released. And then you see that in your phones, you see that this particular OS update is having these particular features which are new. These are the bug fixes which are there. So that is the change log that you get, right? So all in all, you would have experienced or you were a part of a DevOps pipeline or a DevOps methodology and you never knew, but it is happening all around us, right? And this is exactly what companies are implementing these days. DevOps is being implemented in every company which deals with softwares, because not only it basically is reducing the human factor involved in making a software product successful, but also at the same time it is also reducing a lot of time which is invested in creating a product, whether it be because of back and forth that the time is increased, or because of the coordination between the two teams, that is the development team and the testing team, whatever the reason may be. But when you make the whole process automatic, it saves a lot of time and it saves a lot of back and forth as well. So giving you a brief of what the DevOps pipeline is all about, or the life cycle is all about, like I said, you first plan and code, and then you basically, once the code has been submitted to GitHub, it automatically gets pulled up and it gets built, it gets tested. If that is successful, it is released with the configuration management changes, whatever software changes are supposed to be done on the target system, and then you basically deploy, operate, and monitor it. This is what the DevOps lifecycle is all about. And the main thing to learn over here, or what you will learn in this course, is how to create this automated lifecycle using various tools. So there are more than 9 tools that we will be discussing as part of this training, which will help you implement or create a lifecycle like this. Right? So some people ask, does this require coding? Not at all. These tools does not require any coding. What they do require are some commands that you will have to learn. What they do require are certain methodologies that you will have to learn. And that's what will help you in creating this kind of a life cycle. So how does a DevOps life cycle look like in a daily in a daily company, or in any general company? It looks something like this. So this is a developer who's working as part of a DevOps lifecycle. This guy, he basically puts out the code that he was supposed to develop on a platform like GitHub, which is basically version control system. Right? Whenever a new code is pushed to this version control system, this automatically gets deducted by something called as a continuous integration server. Now, this continuous integration server automatically picks up the code from the version control system whenever anything new arrives over there, and it pushes it down to the testing server. And the testing server already has the automated test cases which have to be run against the code. These test cases, if they are successful, the feedback is given to the developer and the continuous integration tool that, what, the test is successful. And if it is basically pushed out to the production server. If it is not, then the feedback is given to the developer and he again has to go through this life cycle. Right? If the product gets released on the production server, again, there are error reports which the users will send. And these error reports are again part of the feedback life cycle. or the continuous monitoring lifecycle, which is again fed to the developers, and the developers fix it. And again, the codes go through this lifecycle. This goes on and on. It never ends. And this is exactly what the infinity sign in DevOps means, right? So, guys, this is how DevOps basically work. Now, any questions with respect to this, what I've just told you, please let me know, and I would be happy to answer all your queries. Any questions, guys, in what I've told you? Any questions? If there are no questions, I'll move on and I'll talk about the tools which basically help us accomplish this life cycle. Okay, Ramesh says, do you share the slide after the call? Well, Ramesh will share the video with you on email. And I think from there you can go through what we have told you. Okay, Manish says, no questions so far. It's clear. Great, Manish. Lakshmi says, what are the tools used? Yes, Lakshmi, we'll be talking about in a little while. That's what our next topic is now. Tony says, when is the code freeze happens? So code freeze, Tony, if you mean that what happens in case the code gets stuck because of some reason, when that happens, Tony, again, the feedback is sent to the developer because there is always a timeout option which is associated with every lifecycle stage. If the code is taking more the time than it is actually expected to take, right? In that case, automatically a timeout occurs and the feedback is sent to the developer. Dhage says, we are a bit confused, but I think we can understand more. Okay, so Dhage, you can mention what you are confused about and we can discuss. Prashant says, really, we can understand your explanation. Okay, great. Ramesh says, oh, great, thanks. All right. Once person can handle this DevOps, no, Sri. So there are usually a team of DevOps engineers which basically make the whole DevOps life cycle happen. Because what I've just told you is a skeleton, but obviously when it is implemented, there are a lot more complex details which are added into it, right? So since when you basically join a software company, there are various features which are being developed for a particular product, right? And these features have their own associated dependencies which you have to accommodate in the DevOps lifecycle, right? So obviously there will be a lot more people needed to run this whole lifecycle and to meet all dependencies. Okay, Evan says no questions. Dhage says continuous integration and continuous development. Well, Dhage, continuous development is you basically pushing the code to the version control system, right? As the name suggests, it's all about development. Continuous integration, basically, this is the central point, or this is the central tool, which is basically going to integrate all the life cycle stages which are out there. So if I were to come back to this diagram, you see continuous integration over here is in the middle. So this is the stage which is actually going to integrate each and every other stage which is out there. Why do I say that this is going to integrate? Because let's say you basically push your code to GitHub. Now, how will this code come to the testing server? The lift and shift is handled by the continuous integration stage or the tool which is there in continuous integration, because this tool is basically the heart of the DevOps lifecycle. This tool is able to basically communicate with each and every other tool which is there in the pipeline or which is there in the lifecycle to know what their status is and accordingly pass on their feedback onto the other tools. So that's what the continuous integration stage basically means. I hope it's clear. Tony sees DevOps pipeline is language dependent, not at all, Tony. So there is no language that you have to learn over here in order to implement a DevOps pipeline. So these are basically tools which have UIs, user interfaces, using which you can basically navigate and create what you want. Prashant says, I have a doubt in geom, sometime power is shut down, the geom will fully corrupted. How we can set a power off or power fluctuation? Prashant, I am not fully sure what geom means. So you can just elaborate a little bit on that, and then I think I'll have a little more clarity on your query. Uh, Amit says, what is the difference between continuous integration and continuous development? So, continuous development, Amit, means that you are continuously developing the code as and when you're getting the feedback, and when you develop it, you're forwarding it, and the moment you complete one feature and you push it onto version control system, you already have more work from your manager, which is the feedback which came from the previous release. So that's basically the meaning of continuous over here. And development, as you know, it's about creating, the application via code. Continuous integration obviously means the same thing, that you're integrating all the tools together. That's what integration means. You're making them work together using a central tool, which is the CI or the continuous integration tool. And it happens continuously because obviously the other things, since if the code is being pushed continuously, obviously the other stages also gets triggered continuously. So that's what the word continuous over here means. So the work keeps going on, the pipeline keeps running, it never stops. Mohan says version control system, what are the tools we will use? Sure, Mohan, we will be talking about the tools in a moment. But if you have any more questions with respect to what I taught, please let me know. Priscilla says difference between continuous delivery and continuous deployment. So continuous delivery, Priscilla, will basically mean that you continuously deliver the product to your customers. So once a release happens, for example, if you're using an iPhone, if you bought it 4 years back as well, you're continuously getting updates every month on your phone, right? That's continuous delivery. You're continuously being delivered a stream of new software updates, which are basically making your phone work better and better, right? Continuous deployment, on the other hand, means that when I'm basically putting my code on a system, obviously with that code there will be a lot of dependencies as well. For example, let's say I gave you the example of a particular code works with Python 2, but now that you have updated the code will only run if the target system has Python 3, right? So continuous deployment basically means that when you're pushing the code on the target system, you're also deploying the softwares associated with it to make that particular code work, right? So that's what continuous deployment is. I hope it is clear. Continuous delivery, on the other hand, is about delivering the finished product to the end user. So there is no software dependency. It's one executable file that you're giving your customer. But in order to make this executable file, first you have to deploy it, right? So I hope this difference is clear to you. Dhage says it means it can connect to crisscross. Example, plan, operate, and code operate, or is it specific match? No, Dhage. So it will always work in a sequential manner. You will first do continuous development, after which you will do continuous testing. From continuous testing, you can see this purple arrow is now going to continuous deployment via continuous integration. And once you come to release deploy, you come to operate monitor. And from operate monitor, again, the CI tool is involved in collecting the feedback and giving it back to the developer. So that's what this orange line means. From monitor, you again come back to plan. Okay. Okay. Sorry, guys. I was muted. So I was saying that. Uh, so I have a question from Raghavendra now. He says to learn DevOps, what is the prerequisite language? There is no prerequisite language, Raghavendra. She is saying, what is deployment? Well, see, deployment is about having Python 2 and Python 3 example that I gave earlier, right? That if you have a code which runs on Python 2, and let's say you want to actually go ahead and run that code with Python 3. So if that is the scenario, you will have to tell your deployment servers that you want Python 3 to be running with your code. So that is what deployment is. That along with the code, you also update the software on the target system. Okay, Dhage says, thanks for updating now. I understood. Great. Amit says, CI and CD both always work together, or we have in any case where CI is there and there is no CD. Well, Amit, I hope by CD you mean development and not deployment. Because, sorry, deployment and not development, because development will be there in every case. And deployment basically means that, you are basically deploying the code uh, along with the software changes which are there. So let's take the example of HTML. So HTML never changes, right? HTML software has been the same from the past 10 years. So if it's an HTML website that you're trying to edit using the pipeline, obviously the deployment part will not be used. So hence you can skip it. But CI is going to be an integral part of the DevOps pipeline. Uh, so Prashant is saying sometimes the map will be shown. So Prashant, I think what you're asking about is business intelligence, and what we're discussing today is DevOps. So it's completely different. Mohan is saying, please explain one more time about CI. So Mohan, CI is basically a stage in DevOps, which is continuous integration, which helps you to integrate all the lifecycle stages which are there in DevOps, right? So I gave you the example when a developer basically commits his code or pushes his code onto GitHub. It has to be automatically detected that a new code has been pushed, and this code has to be put on to the testing server to be tested. So this lift and shift job is basically done by a continuous integration tool, and that continuous integration tool integrates your GitHub with your testing server. So that's what CI basically means. Lakshmi says, do we need to have knowledge in Python? Not necessarily, Lakshmi. Priscilla says, where does security come in during the process? Well, Priscilla, security in this comes at every stage. For example, if you are pushing your code to GitHub, you should not be giving each and every branch access to all the developers, right? So there will be a main or a master branch where all the code will be pushed, and there will be some feature branches, then there will be test branches, and etc etc. So what you give to the developer is a branch which will probably be of no harm even if he does something wrong. So every tool has a security aspect which will be discussed when the tool is actually taught to you, right? But those will be the kind of security related things that we'll be covering in this course. Manikandan says, any specific language is needed to learn this DevOps? No, Manikandan. Manish says, do we need to learn basic Linux commands? Yes, Manish. So excellent question. So for that, Linux is basically the core of how DevOps basically works, because any company, any software company that you work with, they basically will have Linux as an operating system that they will use. So what we do from our end is, guys, we basically give the DevOps, the Linux course free of cost to you, along with the DevOps course, right? So you will have access to the Linux course where you can first learn Linux and then you can start with DevOps. Okay. Any more questions, guys? Anything that I can answer for you before we move along and move to the tools for DevOps? Any questions? Anything? Manish says, do we have access to AWS? Well, Manish, what we will be doing is We will be helping you set up a free AWS account. And on that free AWS account, you will have free tier access. That is T2.micro. There's a server called T2.micro on AWS, which is free of cost for 1 year. So you will be practicing everything over there. So that is the one thing that we'll be helping you out with. Tony is saying, so once DevOps pipeline is created, will it work for any kind of projects, say Java-based projects or .NET projects, or do we need to create different pipeline matching to different kind of project stack? Well, Tony, it depends. So it could be a combination of projects as well that you incorporate in one pipeline. But usually, when you basically have different pipelines in place, you do that when you have each pipeline as a different uh, case study, or you can say each pipeline is of a different purpose, right? Let's say for pipeline one, you decide that this will only be going to be for the code, which is basically going to be on my QA servers or servers which are basically my staging servers, which are basically only going to be visible to internal stakeholders. So let's say you are a part of a tech team and you want to show the director of the company on a product that you're working on, and you want to show the progress. So obviously you will not show the progress on the main servers. You will basically have a server which is basically going to be for internal use, and you want to deploy it over there to show it to your director. So when you want to do that, obviously you want to have a separate pipeline for that, so that when you push the code, it is only deployed on the QA servers and not on the main server itself. So for those kind of scenarios, you will actually be needing a different pipeline. But we are living in a world today where we basically make use of microservices. And when you talk about microservices, it could be that each service of yours is working on a different technology stack. And the whole microservice or the whole product of yours can be managed through a single pipeline wherein any service that you want to update can be updated from that single pipeline as well. So to answer your question, for different technology stacks, do we need different pipelines? No. You only create pipelines when you have different use cases. Priscilla says, how long is the course and any hands-on projects? Well, Priscilla, this will be a 5-week long course. And yes, there are a lot of hands-on, a lot of assignments, and a lot of projects that will be there as part of the course. So I think that we will be covering at the end of the session. Siva says, AWS DevOps and Azure DevOps, which one is good? Well, Siva, both are good. But in my suggestion, you should first learn plain and simple DevOps, and then you should go ahead and start learning AWS DevOps or Azure DevOps for that part. Bhagat says, in general, if I'm from a non-technical degree as a fresher, let's say I'm having a 3-year degree as a BCom and not BTech, will I be able to get a job? Well, Dhage, if you have the skill set, your education actually doesn't matter, right? So if you have got the right skill set, that is, if you have learned everything that we are teaching you in the course, it doesn't matter which background you're coming from. Okay, any more questions, guys, before I move on? Any questions from what I've taught you? Dhage says, thanks for answering. You're welcome, Dhage. Rashmi says, do you teach AWS DevOps? Yes, we do, Rashmi. Any questions, guys? Cool. If there are no questions, let's move forward. Okay. So what are the DevOps tools that basically help us enable this DevOps lifecycle? So there'll be a lot of tools, guys. The first tool in continuous develop is Git and GitHub. That is what we will use to version control our code. For continuous integration, we will be learning Jenkins in the course. So Jenkins is the heart of the DevOps pipeline, which will help you integrate all the tools together that you're going to use. For continuous deployment, we are basically, for configuration management and continuous deployment, we are basically going to make use of Ansible and Puppet. And for the other things in continuous deployment, such as containers, etc., we will be making use of Docker. For continuous testing, we will be understanding how Selenium basically works. And for continuous monitoring, we will be understanding the Nagios tool. There is one more thing, which is infrastructure as a code. Let's say if you want to deploy a set of servers on the cloud, for that, we will be teaching you Terraform as part of the training content as well. right? So just to replace all the things in the initial diagram that we saw, so the developer is going to push his code to GitHub, which will automatically be detected by Jenkins as a CI tool, which will be deployed on multiple servers using configuration management such as Puppet and Ansible. And with Puppet and Ansible, in case containerization is required, Docker will be used. On the testing server for automated test cases, we will be making use of Selenium. And if everything works out well over here, we will be deploying it on production server, wherein the feedback, if anything comes, will be monitored by Nagios. Okay. So guys, this is how the pipeline will look like when you replace it with the tools that we're going to learn in this course. Siva says for freshers, AWS DevOps guys are there only or only experienced professionals. Well, Siva, like I said, if you have the right skill set, it doesn't matter how much experience or what background you come from. Rakesh says, what about the code building tools such as Ant, Maven, or Gradle? Rakesh, we will be covering Maven as part of this training, and it will be a part of the Jenkins module. When we will be teaching you Jenkins, we will be talking about Maven as a build tool as well, and we will be telling you how you can make it to basically build your code. When you're basically deploying it on a certain server. Manikandan says, what is the tool used for cloud concept? Manikandan, we will be making use of AWS. Uh, okay, any more questions, guys? Any questions that you would want me to answer? I will be happy to answer. Any questions? Okay, Mayank says, are these tools? Yes, Mayank, these are tools. Mayank says, do they require any programming knowledge? No, Mayank, they don't require. Uh, Rakesh says, is there a huge difference between GitHub and GitLab? Well, Rakesh, not actually. Both of them do the same job. They are basically two different companies which offer the same offering. So that's what GitHub and GitLab is. Okay, guys. So now that we are done with this session, let me actually show you guys. For those of you who are basically inquiring about the course, let me show you how the course basically looks like. So just head over to intellipaat.com, guys. You will see this training page. Head over to DevOps, and here you will see DevOps certification training. Head over to that. So here, guys, we have the DevOps certification training. So I think I have my course advisor with us. So he is going to tell you guys about this training and so on. So we have Charles with us, who is going to now explain us about the course. So Charles, over to you. I think you can just click on show my screen, and then we will be able to see your screen.
Thanks. Well, hi guys. My name is Charles, and I hope the webinar was informative. So I'm going to show you the complete DevOps training course content and why you should choose Intellipaat and what are the benefits you're going to get, everything in detail. So this is the Intellipaat homepage. So let's get on with it. So if you type DevOps in the search bar, you get a bunch of courses here. So select the first one, which says DevOps Certification Training Online. So this is a 33-hour instructor-led training program. So it's a live instructor-led training on a WebEx, and it's going to take 33 hours to complete. So if you scroll down, I'll talk about the benefits while I want to first take you through the course content. So you will see overview, and here you will see what will you learn in this DevOps training, which you can go through it, and who should take this training, what are the prerequisites. To be honest, there is none, but if you have a basic understanding of Linux, it's an added benefit, I would say. And if you scroll down further, here you will see the two modes of training, which I will take you through later. So here you see the course content. So this DevOps certification course content, and here you'll see the list of modules that is going to be covered. So module number 1, if you click on it, infrastructure setup. So you will be learning literally from the very basic installation part of it. So you'll be learning how to install the DevOps tool on cloud, which is very basic. And then what is software development? What is DevOps? Why DevOps? So you'll be literally learning from the very basic scratch, basic to advanced, step by step. So these are all the modules that is going to be covered in DevOps. You'll be learning Git, Docker, Selenium, Maven, Jenkins, Puppet, Ansible, Kubernetes, and Nagios. So you can also download the curriculum if you want, or you can just go through, which is on the website. So everything you see on the website is going to be covered from basic to advanced. And if you notice, each and every module has hands-on exercise. So each and every module has hands-on exercise. So this is purely a practical learning platform, not boring lectures. So like you're already experienced, it's going to be interactive, and it's going to be purely practical sessions, not boring lectures. So each and every module has hands-on exercise. So after the modules are going to be covered, if you scroll down a bit, here you'll see DevOps projects covered. Now these are the real-time industry projects that you're going to have a hands-on experiences on. Now this is very, very important. People who are looking for a job change, or people who are looking for a job, or people who are having a project requirement, or implementing DevOps at their company, you should have a hands-on experiences on project. I would say it is mandatory, because without having a hands-on, nobody can be proficient with the technology, no matter whichever technology it is, be it AWS or be it Azure or be it artificial intelligence or big data or DevOps. Any technology, for that instance, hands-on experience on projects is mandatory for you to get a job, or for you to clear the technical rounds during the interview, or for you to learn the technology which your company is implementing in the near future. So we are going to guide you where you can access the lab for you to practice these projects. And even the instructor, let's say for an example, in this particular course, there are about 9 to 10 real-time projects. The instructor is going to show you a project or two, so that you know where to begin and where to end, so that you're going to practice the remaining projects all by yourself. So that is what is going to help you become proficient with the technology. And nothing to worry, even let's say for an example, you're stuck while doing a project. We provide you a lifetime technical support assistance. So my technical team is going to be there to help you, guide you, and assist you for you to successfully complete the projects. And we are going to help you where you can access the necessary lab for you to practice the projects as well. So these are all the real-time industry projects. So you can click on read more, you get the complete detail about what the project is, what are the tools involved in it, everything in detail. Now, DevOps is an open source. There is no government authorized certification released in the market yet. Okay, so here you'll be getting this particular certificate of achievement of completion, which is issued by Intellipaat and which is also acknowledged by Future Skills. Now, about the benefits, why Intellipaat? Well, we are the only company to provide you a lifetime access. So lifetime access literally means you can attend as many batches for lifetime. Let's say, for an example, you started the training, and this is 33 hours of instructor-led training. So it takes about 5 weekends to complete if you go for weekend batch. So let's say, for an example, a person started his training. After 2 weeks, something came up, personal or professional. He could not continue the training. No problem. He can come back after a month or very next week or after 1 year. He can retake the class again with the live instructor by just dropping an email. It's literally a lifetime access. Even with the live instructor, one can attend as many batches for lifetime. And one-on-one doubt resolution sessions, like the webinar that you guys just experienced. Any questions you have will be answered on the same day. So you just need to ask the question, the instructor is going to give you the answer. It's that simple. Now, flexible schedule. So we have both weekday and weekend classes. I will let you know about the timings. You can either do a weekday batch or you can either do a weekend batch. If you have time, you can do both. Nobody's going to stop you. And here we have 60 hours of project and exercises. I showed you the projects. So it's going to take about 60 hours for you to complete the projects and exercises. So I've showed you the projects. You exactly know where to look for it. Flexible schedule, the one which I just explained to you. 24 hours on live support and access. Like I told you, any point in time, if you have any questions while you're in the class, you can ask the instructor. The instructor is live on WebEx. He's going to answer to you. Off the class, let's say, for example, you have taken weekend sessions, but Monday to Friday, if you have any questions, drop an email to support. They're going to help you out. We have customer support and technical support assistants around the clock. Even while you're doing a project, if you're stuck, no problem, reach out to a technical support. We are there to help you, guide you, and assist you. Certification, like I've told, this is not a government authorized examination released so far in the market. DevOps is an open source, and there is job assistance that we provide to you. Now, job assistance works in 3 steps. Step number 1 is we are going to rework on your resume. We are going to mention about the DevOps tools that you have learned as a skill set, and we are also going to mention the couple of important projects that you have completed on your resume. Step number 2 is we are going to prepare you for the interview with the list of mock question and answers. So you are going to attend the interview. Even before you attend the interview, you are almost prepared by facing what sort of question and answers you're going to come across. So you already know these are the sort of questions you might come across in the future, and you're prepared for it. The final step is we are going to give you an access to a portal where we have tied up with 80 top MNC companies like TCS, Cisco, Standard Chartered, Sony, Accenture, MU Sigma, just to name a few. So you will come across many job openings there. So you're going to market your resume on our job platform, on our resource. So whenever you get an interview call, how you perform in the interview or how you proceed further is totally left up to you. But for you to become industry ready, for you to become proficient with the technology, you invest your time with the live instructor-led training program. We will promise you the result. So provided you invest your time, you can definitely see the result in terms of lining up the interviews or clearing up the interviews. Now, most important thing that you guys should remember why Intellipaat is because you already experienced the webinar. You already know how the quality of the training is. It's not going to be a straight lecture with some PPT presentations. It's going to be a practical learning platform. It's going to be interactive. I believe he answered all the questions you might have. Even during the session, any questions will be answered to you, which is very important. It's a lifetime access. You happen to discontinue in between because of personal or professional reasons, you can come back by just dropping an email and retake the class again unlimited times. Whether you attend the class or miss the class, doesn't matter. Live recorded videos of your own classroom is also going to be given to you. Saturday, Sunday, let's say, for example, you attended the class, but Monday to Friday, you feel like brushing up your knowledge. Go and look into the live recorded videos of your own classroom that you attended. You can brush up your knowledge. Or you have taken weekday batch, Monday to Friday, Monday to Thursday. If it's Monday to Thursday that you have, that is a batch that you have attended. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, if you want to brush up your knowledge, just go watch the live recorded videos of your own classroom, which we have provided you the access. You can do that as well. Now about the pricing and the schedule. So we have 2 modes of training: self-paced training and online. So self-paced is the pre-recorded video of an instructor along with downloadable PDF materials in it. Whereas online training is the live instructor-led training, the one which you guys just experienced webinar. It's a live webinar. So online is live instructor training, self-paced is a pre-recorded video of the instructor. Well, online, the schedule for the weekday batch is Monday to Thursday. Tuesday 7 a.m. in India is Monday in the US. So Monday to Thursday, 4 days a week, 8:30 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. 8:30 in the night to 10:30 in the night, Eastern Standard Time. Monday to Thursday, 8:30 p.m. to 10:30 p.m., 4 days a week. So this is weekday batch schedule. So weekend batch schedule is Saturday and Sunday, 3 hours on Saturdays, 3 hours on Sundays. The timings will be 9:30 in the morning, 9:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. 30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m., 3 hours on Saturdays, 3 hours on Sundays, Eastern Standard Time. You can either do a weekday batch or you can either do a weekend batch, or like I told you, if you're currently not working, if you have time, if you want to attend both, no problem. Nobody's going to stop you. You can attend both batches. So these are all the fresh batch dates. So we have fresh batches every weekends, and we have 2 weekday batches a month. You can choose the dates according to your convenience. You can start whenever you want. And about the pricing, like you see 10% discount as per the website. But if you contact me directly, I will extend you a 30% discount for online. If you go for online, I'll also give you the self-paced for free. So let's say you want to pay in INR, it's going to be the website price plus 18% tax, which you'll have to bear. On top of that, instead of 10%, I'll give you 30% discount with the self-paced for free. Let's say you're paying in US dollars, so it's the same price. So there's no change in terms of you paying in INR or US, you end up paying the same amount. So the self-paced, including taxes, of course, is 229. But in INR, you will have to add 18% tax. But in US dollars, it's already added. So self-paced is 229 and online is 399. So instead of 10%, I'll extend you a 30% discount with self-paced for free. And you can reach me on this WhatsApp number, or even you can also reach me on Indian WhatsApp number, or you can drop me an email at charles.christopher@intellipaat.com. You can either take a screenshot of this, or you can either make a note of my email or my WhatsApp numbers, ping me on WhatsApp. I will help you get started, and I'll also answer any questions that you might have.
Charles, can you
So,
also talk about the architect course?
yeah, that was the next step. So I also want to take you through one more program which would be very effective for a person or an individual who has more than 3 years of experience, or even who is looking for a job. And I'll also tell you why. Now, we are in the home page here. So you can, again, type DevOps in the search bar. You will come across multiple courses. I want you to select the third program, which says Cloud Architect Certification Master's Program. So let me show you that again. So on the Intellipaat website, if you type DevOps and search, you will come across multiple results. This is the first program that I just took you through. The third course, Cloud Architect Certification Master's Program. So this is in collaboration with IBM and Microsoft. Now, people with more than 3 years of experience, or even people who are looking for a job, this is the right program, because not every company uses AWS or Microsoft Azure or Google Cloud for that instance. So they keep changing the technology depending upon the project requirement. So let's say, for an example, a company is using AWS, but tomorrow, if the project requirement requires Azure, they have no other option apart from implementing that Azure technology for that particular project. At that point in time, they won't literally hire a new team. They expect their current employees only to upgrade their skill set. This is the reality. Of a person who's looking for a job or a job change, you having a multiple cloud technology as a skill set is definitely a selling point for any company to hire you in the first place, because they know they can rely on you if the project moves to a different requirement. Now, why DevOps with cloud is very important? Because it's easy for automation, it's easy for cloud server replication, for orchestration or effective monitoring, or rapid deployment. So that is the reason anybody using DevOps wants to integrate with either of the cloud technology like AWS DevOps or Azure DevOps, depending upon the companies to companies. Now, this is a combination of 11 courses, and this is in collaboration with IBM and Microsoft. Like I told you, the course content is designed by the industry experts of IBM and Microsoft. So all the 11 courses are here. 5 courses are online with live instructor-led training: AWS, Microsoft Azure, DevOps, Python, and Google Cloud. So these are the 5 courses with the live instructor on a WebEx. And the remaining are self-paced, which are the pre-recorded videos: Java, Linux, Splunk Developer and Admin, Microsoft Azure 303, Hadoop Administration, and Agile. These are the 6 courses, self-paced. Now, the same benefits applies to no matter which programs you take from us, whether you take one program or whether you take 100 courses or 10 courses, the benefits are the same. So it's a lifetime access, attend as many batches, retake as many classes, nobody's going to stop you, interactive one-on-one doubt resolution sessions, flexible schedule, lifetime technical support assistance, lifetime free upgrade. I will explain that, how that works. So here you will see the program overview, and after that you'll see testimonials. Below that you'll see course content. Now, I already taken you through the DevOps course content. It is literally the same DevOps training program which we went through, along with the projects and all the modules covered with hands-on exercises. Now let me show you AWS live course. So module number 1, introduction to cloud computing in AWS. What is cloud computing? So you'll be literally learning from the very basic, what is cloud computing? And again, installation of the setup of EC2 instances. So if you notice, each and every module again has hands-on exercise. So this is purely a practical learning platform, not any sort of boring lectures you might have or you might have not went through in the past with XYZ companies. So each and every module has hands-on exercises, and if you scroll down, you will see the list of modules going to be covered, and in self-paced, what are the additional modules that are going to be covered. And after module number 14, which is AWS interview questions, you will see AWS projects covered. Like I told you before, projects or real-time hands-on experiences on real-time projects is very, very important, because that is what is going to help you get a job or clear the interview or become proficient with the technology. No matter where you learn, without hands-on, it is pointless and it's useless. So these are the real-time industry projects that you're going to have a hands-on experiences on, and we are going to guide you where you can access the lab for you to practice the hands-on, and we provide you a lifetime technical support assistance. You also get a chance to learn through case studies, which has been implemented by XYZ companies. Likewise, all the courses are going to be covered. You can click on each one of them. You'll be learning from the very introductory part with hands-on exercises. And if you scroll down, you will also see projects. So all the programs are going to be covered from basic to advanced step by step. Now, if you scroll them further, you will see certification. So these are all the official exams the course content is designed for you to clear. Let's say, for an example, you're looking for a job change. So do you have to do all these certification exams? Well, not really. But if you do AWS certification or Microsoft certification exam, it's an added benefit that goes on your resume. And this course is designed for you to clear the certification as well. So let's say, for an example, an attendee wants to clear or appear in the AWS Solutions Architect exam. Let us know before you invest your money for certification exam, because we provide you a mock quiz on our website. If you score 60% in the mock quiz we provide to you, that means you can easily clear the certification exam in just one attempt without wasting any more time or money. So we have more than 92% of passing aggregate for any certification exams. So let us know before you appear in the exam. If you score 60% in the mock quiz, you can easily clear the certification exam in just one attempt. So we provide you certification preparation as well. And these are the 2 certificate of achievement of completion you'll be rewarded, one from IBM and one from Microsoft. So these are the course completion achievement certificates. Well, these are the official exams. You'll have to pay the examination fee directly to AWS or directly to Microsoft, whichever exam you want to take. But we help you clear the certification exam by providing your mock quiz in just one attempt. And the rest of the benefits are the same: lifetime access, job assistance. I've already explained to you about 3 steps of job assistance, flexible schedule, and lifetime free upgrade. So there was a language called C, and then came C++. So these are all the technologies which are going to upgrade. So there won't be an additional technology, but they might come up with additional new topics in the market or new versions in the market. Let's say, for an example, DevOps tomorrow comes up with additional couple of topics. When you're in DevOps or when you're in cloud, you'll have to frequently keep upgrading yourself, because that is the technology, that is the era that we are living in. You need to keep upgrading yourself. So let's say you're already an AWS cloud engineer, and AWS comes with a couple of new topics. There's no other option. You'll have to upgrade yourself with that as well. But you need not go somewhere else by paying additional money, or you need not even pay us additional money to learn those new topics, because we upgrade the content frequently whenever there is an upgrade in the market. So you will be learning the latest version for free of cost, because it is a lifetime access that we provide. So that means you can attend as many times as you want. So whenever we upgrade the content, you of course will get to know through our newsletters that we regularly send out to our existing customers. You just need to drop an email and start learning the latest version for free of cost. So it's lifetime free upgrade without paying any money. All the 11 programs you get to learn the latest version. So this is the program I would highly recommend, especially for a person who is looking for a job change or a job. So let's say, for example, it is 10 hours, 6 hours a week that you're investing for a weekend batch. So if you invest 9 hours a week, 6 hours for classes and 3 hours for brushing up your whatever happened in the previous class or completing the exercises and assignments. So this takes about 5 months to complete. If you take only weekend batches, it takes 5 months to complete. Or if you're not currently working, if you can invest both weekday and weekend, it's going to take 3 months to complete. If you invest 5 months, 10 hours a week, 6th month, I can guarantee you a result in terms of you clearing an interview or you lining up interviews with regards to cloud. So 10 hours a week is not too much to ask. So if you invest 10 hours a week, including instructor-led classroom training, including brushing up the knowledge, whatever the instructor taught you in the previous class, including completing a few small exercises given by the instructor, 6th month, you can definitely expect the result 100%. So again, the same thing, 10%, and this particular program, I can extend you a flat 30% discount. So if you're paying in INR, it's going to be additional 18% GST. But if you pay, you can either pay in US dollars. It's the same thing. You're not paying anything extra or less. Instead of 10%, you get 30% discount, and you get the self-paced for free. So you can reach me on +1 202 221 4214. Or you can either reach me on +91 861 84729. I'm available on both these numbers on WhatsApp, or you can directly drop me an email to charles.christopher@intellipaat.com. Kindly take a screenshot of it or print screen or save my contact details. To know more about the program, or you need any career guidance, I'm the right person to speak to. I have 12 years of experience as a course advisor and a career counselor. So I can help you with the best program with the best price possible. Reach me at this. So if you have any further questions, please feel free to drop me a WhatsApp message or drop me an email. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions you might have. So thank you so much for your guys. Hope today's webinar was very informative, and I've told you why you should choose Intellipaat and what's in it for you. Have a great day ahead. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.